다 가상한도 쉬어야지. 당 차상 안에 지기 동아 줘야다. 안에 대기 주고 인자 당아도 땡기 대화 주비에게 탑람 될라 안에 상유 점된 대기 안에 지기 창라 마노와 차상지 손샤베 윤데 보통메바 주여바 손샤바 될라야 안주기 안에 지 다드바동아 주기 안에 지기 냠내 야고 제마도시 탈바다 탐지 김베고 바토 마토바디 아니 가르치어를 남네 상이기 딘이 손셰비기 아니 최디기 단다디 장자 하모와리 하모와체 냠내 제마토바 진자 아니 탈바 탐지 김베고 바토 마토바리스 지산 디 안 하모와데 가르치어를 남네 하모 몽바디 왕기다 몽비 왕기 디체바르 지산 몽바데 세고고레스 몽바 세야라가네 세고레 남나 다 지산 저기 퇴바 상이 손셰비게 손럽리아 퇴섬야네야도 퇴바지고레스 퇴바지가 되더니 안에 지게 람간에간에 냠네지가 가르가르 여바디 몽바세도 그래스 지나디 돈다디게 안에 퇴바지네 안에 야네야도 디 돈다들이야 삼당에도 안 돈다데 하고 그래스 제가 돈다 하고도 안에 돈다 하모고 하듯이 몽바데 세그레스 지나디네 돈다 하고 곰네 안 돈다디리아 안에 제지도 곰 잡여도 안에 가 저기 타바다 탐지기 벽고 토야라 바도 지지기에 녀모바디에 방투그레스 지자 디네자 안텔야 안냠네 지게 상기기 손셰비게다 숑리아 퇴섬 곰숨 야고체고레스 대야 안에 유링부여 전에 안에 유링부의 존재지는 냠네 제고레스 안데 안에 지게 델야 안 속사 집장 안 건조숨이야 짬조야 고지야다 소사야다 짬조야 고지야다 소사 안 디바장 안도시고레스 가사다 제르미지 한슬야 랍제로시 디니스나와 제가 디니자 가사 디고르 마슈와 상자.
And then good morning. So last night we spoke about how the Buddha has taught a path that is unmistaken and complete. And this, can you hear me at the back okay? Yeah? Okay. And this path is the unmistaken path to the achievement of a state of happiness that is stable and lasting. So this is a path that fulfills our innermost wish, which is to be completely freed of all suffering and problems and experience happiness that is never interrupted by even the slightest of suffering. So Buddha Shakyamuni taught this path that encompasses incomparable qualities, and he himself has fully and completely perfected this path and thereby possesses these incomparable qualities within himself. So the reason that we ourselves haven't attained this state of perfection is because we have not yet to come to understand the various aspects of the path. And because of this not knowing, or this lack of knowledge, we are unable to train in the path. Because without having a basis of knowledge, one doesn't have the basis to cultivate the paths within oneself. And that is the reason why we have yet to attain liberation from suffering. So the reason for this, that we have not attained liberation, is due to our ignorance of not knowing, or our confusion. And the way to overcome this ignorance is to develop knowledge. So we need to, and the way then to develop knowledge and thereby overcome our ignorance of confusion is to receive teachings, and not only to receive the knowledge that's imparted in teachings, but to reflect on these teachings. And moreover, to receive teachings and reflect on them sporadically, this too will not lead on its own to the overcoming of this ignorance of confusion. We need to repeatedly, over a sustained period, receive teachings and reflect on teachings. This is how we overcome this ignorance of confusion. And receiving teachings and reflecting on them repeatedly over a sustained period, then eventually we'll come to a realization of these teachings. We'll come to a realization through a mind which is a valid cognizer. And at that point, we are ready to develop the union of calm abiding and special insight on this topic, and thereby engage in actual meditation on this topic. Going through this process, one will also gain ever greater conviction in the validity of the Buddha Dharma and the propounder of the Buddha Dharma, Buddha Shakyamuni himself. So our trust in the Buddha Dharma and the Buddha will grow ever more stable and firm. And this will have an impact on the power of mind, that is the mind of refuge, as well as then having an ever greater impact on our mind, that is ever greater impact on our efforts to accumulate virtue and to purify negativities. So then, through this process of receiving teachings and reflecting on them, we accumulate merit, we purify negativities, and we gain ever greater conviction in the paths. And this is the advice in how to practice that Geshe Rinpoche imparted to us in the verse we looked at last night. And the verse that we'll start with today, this continues from last night, where Geshe Rinpoche is encouraging us to receive teachings, reflect and meditate on them. And in this verse, he's expressing how truly fortunate he is to have such an opportunity to be able to do this.
That's it. 원장 지다 카르초비 속의 균이 마두버 켜라 중세 이체베 이체바 대양가와 상념기 있어.
The 36th verse. However, before the stream of life that is flowing towards death ceases, I consider myself fortunate to have gained some slight trust in you.
아델리아 당보 원장 세디기 직디기 디승고라다 가상한저 제름 제가르송레세네 야 균링부원에 상기기 아니 연대통 아니 상기기 최기 연대통 델야 아니 점로 삼다 점로지 된 균링부원에 아니 최섬 공숨 제와레데 이내 이길로 연대 아니 직 차점님마도 깨마송시 가사 디승으로와 지상 차점마도 맞게와레데 이나양스고다 원자서 이나야 안 디링 안 데니기 냠는 제여바 라와디 베카와상 보레 시고로와다.
That's the very first word here, however. So this serves as a link between the 35th verse and now this verse, the 36th verse. Because in the previous verse, we saw how Geshe Rinpoche was saying that he trained with great effort over an extensive period, receiving teachings, reflecting on them, and eventually also meditating on them. And through this process, he came to see the tremendous qualities of Buddha Shakyamuni, as well as the path that Buddha Shakyamuni accomplished within himself and has taught. However, despite this, he only gained some slight qualities within himself being Lama Tsongkhapa. And here then this term, however, links to this verse, where it says, despite only gaining some slight qualities himself, through being able to engage in this process of receiving teachings, reflecting and meditating, he is truly fortunate.
나디네 원자 치다 카르초베세 디디송고라다 간조기 코월야 제 차원에 기네 송데 네 시에기 파 치다기 칼파 시엘야 파 카디바 디초르야 초도야 돼서 그래.
지바 틀을 용기래.
시엘바 카초도야. 그래서 뭐 조해라 카디바 초도야. 카마 초도야. 디나시 간조 코월에 제 차위 제바 잡는 제 잡니네 당 시엘바 카디바 시엘바 초도야. 돼서 그래.
So for us in English, we're looking at the second line. So the second line here refers to going in the direction towards death, or flowing towards death. So this is the state that all samsaric beings find ourselves in. That through this process of continued rebirth, that from the moment of birth, one is progressing towards one's eventual demise, one's eventual death.
나 dondaala 가르순고레 랍나 만조 그 고발에 제나 제처에 제라 네 시에데 타쳐와레서 그래 시에레마도 마시와 제라요 말했어 네 가서래 시고 그래서 그래서네 저기 요르 거상 아주 땡지게 남자 시에서 지게 세외 제랑 게 규단 겐질에 되는 두고 기고를 세상 규단 겐래 되는 게와 인자 규단 겐기 누바 가제 여바 디바 되그래 누바 소소나 거의 매워 차로 그래서 진짜 시에디에 규단 겐래 되는 두바 인자 아주 강라야 마줘봐 라고 원내디 게려 말했어 세상 규단 겐래 되는 두고 그랬어 규단 겐래 되는 게완자 아주 내바디야 규단 겐래 되는 내고 그랬어 세상 아주 내기 겐이 시에기 겐려 망보 쉬어래서 시에기 겐 제가 겐래 망보여래서 제가 아주 내야 아니 기디네다 아주 게 세외절 시에 다 쳐버려서 그러다 지에 지다 칼쳐 봤을 시에 다 쳐버려서 그래
Every being that takes uncontrolled rebirth and cyclic existence is in the same situation that from the very moment of birth, we progress towards our eventual death. There's no one who's trapped within the realms of cyclic existence for whom this is not the case. There's no one within cyclic existence who's freed from facing their demise, their death. And this is because our birth is a dependent arising. It came about in dependence on causes and conditions. And when these causes and conditions are exhausted, when their potency is exhausted, this life ends. And the abiding of this life, whatever period that may be, whether it's short, whether it's an intermediate or average length, or whether it's a long length, that is on one hand dependent on causes and conditions, but also the ending of this life. This too comes about in dependence on causes and conditions, in that there are very few causes that lead to the maintaining of one's life or the abiding of one's life, whereas there are so many that can lead to this life ceasing. So therefore, our ability or our abiding in this life, the length of this life, is truly unstable, and that this life will end. This is certain.
망보라 실려나 내 나자기 끼엔제네 니끼엔 대설을 때네 아주 맛이 시시그레스 야나 소소수부 탕부 내 나즈메 바 탕부 여바이네 치끼엔 아니 지금 중화 사염자와다 슐로자와다 데니게 마추기 왕기 데니 토네 아주 대설을 끼엔 데네래 데니 중요도 끼엔 대설을 때네 아주 시투그레스 진짜 데니엔상 시야야 타쳐봐. 그래서 시에기 띵 찐들량 아주기 망고 쉬어래스 나로를 열에 치료는 요하다 친아니가 요하여래스 세상 아주 내기 찐디 뉴아로 세고래스 그러다.
This is something to reflect on and come to gain certainty on. And we can do so through reflecting that this life that we've attained has come about in dependence on a variety of causes and conditions. Moreover, when these causes and conditions are exhausted, this life will end. And when we think of the period of this life, we need to continue to accumulate causes and conditions for this lifespan to be lived out. But there are always a vastly greater number of causes that can lead to the premature ending of this life. And that is because not only did our life come about in dependence on causes and conditions, and are continuous further causes required to sustain life, but the ending of life, this too is a dependency and dependence on causes and conditions. And there are a vastly greater number of causes that lead to the ending of this life than there are to the sustaining of this life. And the causes that, when we reflect on it, we can see that there are both a great number of outer causes, such as a conflict or natural disaster or accidents, as well as inner causes, perhaps such as illness, that can lead to the ending of this life. So this is how we can reflect on the impermanence of our life, through reflecting on dependency.
lo jai che le chigirebe lo ngopju che le chigirebe lo nishu nye le chigire sanyi chigire diru konda chigire se den den kyune yo ma se kien ga ji che song ne den gi chi ye gi kien ji che song na zo kien gi di che gi yuen be nga zo ni me de le che gi de le che ma re sang zo xie tu yo ma re se ji za me wan zang ma zo xie le gi di xie nge ba yo ma da se wo da.
So the first point of this reflection is that the certainty that death will come, and this was done in the way that has been, this meditation was done in the way that was just described. The second point is the uncertainty as to when death will come. So through the reflection that has just been described, it's easy to understand that this life will end. But there's no one that can say with any vague degree of certainty when life will end. We may be able to point to an average lifespan, and we can thereby assume that we have an average chance of achieving that, but that is all. When the conditions for our life to end are met, our life will end. When we will meet those conditions, this is unknown. And this is something that we need to reflect on. Whether we have several decades ahead of us, several years ahead of us, several weeks ahead of us, this we do not know. But when the conditions for this life to end are met, this life will end. So all we can say with any vague degree of certainty is that when those conditions are met, whether it's a single breath away, whether it's some days away, some months away, our life will end.
Chida kharchok pa se du chida kharchok pa se di chi di danda kharla go lamna danda da kharla go sna gar sun go samna ane di ro da nga zo kie chawe ko la kie chawe chi chen la xie ta che ba le xi nge ba le ka sen chi wi kie mong bo le ji sa jian le dun de xi zhu le ji sa ji ga nge ba yin zang ane ge di chi nge chi ge le se ne dian nge ba yo ma le xie le nga chi nge ba den den yo ma le se di ni sun go le danda la.
So the purpose of this expression of flowing towards death, or progressing towards death, is to remind ourselves, firstly, of the certainty of death, and secondly, the uncertainty as to the time of death. So here we reflect on the that first life was attained in dependency on causes and conditions, life is sustained in dependency on causes and conditions, and life will end in dependency on causes and conditions. And when we look at these, there are vastly more causes that lead to the ending of life than there are to the sustaining of life. And this makes ever more apparent how the timing of our death is uncertain and something that we have no definite control over. And Rinpoche himself, through composing this verse, is showing that he also reflects on the impermanence of life, and that the only thing we can be certain of is that death will come, but there is no certainty as to how long we have left in this life.
Sogi Guni Manu Barase. That Sogi Guni Manu Barase. That the Negi Xielia Rawa Meba, Xie de Taucheba, Chile Rawa Meba, and the Gedishing Eva Meba, Radio, Ina, Dadangi Ludin di Mashiwache, and Mashiwach Pa Neche, Deche, delya ane Tamashiba Debatilla and Ludinti Deme de Massonwache, Dunda Meba, Massonwache, Dunda Yuba, Karjeba Relana, Chenyam Jeva, or Deme de Massonwache, and Ya Chenyam Je, Johnson Monsigorda. So we can name Manobar.
And so now let's look at these two lines together, the first two lines together. However, before the stream of life that is flowing towards death ceases. So the stream of life then, this is referring to the abiding of our life, our current situation. So we currently, of course, we're sitting here, we are alive, but through this reflection, we're reminded of the certainty of our death, firstly, and secondly, we have no control over when our death will come. This is something we may aspire to have a long and healthy life with good physical and mental energy, but beyond aspiring to that and accumulating the causes as best we can, we have no absolute control over this. So here, the purpose of being reminded, the purpose of reminding ourselves of these 2 points, the certainty of death and uncertainty of the time of death, is that whilst we are alive, whilst we still dwell within this physical form, this life has great potential. And through utilizing what remains of this life well, we can truly achieve something great with what remains of this life.
ane denigi denju milu rimbo chede gedi she ngeba mewa chi rede ine dada mashibe ki ten del ya ane chike ten del ya ane sangyu jemnen ji sung she bi ki chel ya theba da samba ane gom nyamne je jung song song go da.
This life that we are experiencing and that we have achieved is something that we managed to achieve this particular rebirth due to our own endeavors in our past lives. So in past lives, we accumulated extensive virtue, in particular through ethical conduct, as well as through generosity and patience and joyous perseverance. So through the cultivation of these minds, we accumulated the causes that now we are experiencing the result of. So dependent on these causes that we ourselves accumulated in our past lives, we have achieved this human rebirth, this precious human rebirth. So therefore, whatever remains of this life, we need to utilize it well to accumulate at least the same good causes to experience similar results in the future. And the way to do that is, as we heard in the previous verse, to engage in extensive study, reflection, and meditation on the teachings of the Buddha.
세델이야 데니기 밀리름버치 톱나야 양징아도 지게 최냠는 마제바체 아니지 디벨야가다 데니기 자와šan다 양 되어 있나 데메드기 와서 그러와 돈다메바 돈다 약부터 두고 말했어 제가다 세델야가 저기 덴지기 밀리름버치 톱아 나신 세다가 델야 아니 상이 송리야 퇴바제 삼바제 곰냠는제 아니 내는 냠는 제바 있나 다 된다 여버기고 가선 탈바다 탐지 김고 봐 토야기 유서이고 봐 된다 된다 여버기고 와서 제가 디니엔자 제름치게 안 개왕 아미기 선남 안에 진보 추준 서버 준주일 때네 한달에 대주 밀루를 뭐지 톱되바디 안 되메도 마송하지 밀루기 데 땡텔야 안에 상이 덤발라나 메비기 아니 송시비 송로야 퇴섬 곰섬 냠네지라 송스고래.
This life that we have achieved, this precious human rebirth, this is something that we achieved through our own great endeavors in the past. We cultivated the minds of ethical conduct, of generosity, of patience and joyous perseverance. And through the cultivation of these minds, we accumulated the causes that have led to this very life. So having achieved this incomparable opportunity, it would be a great shame to waste it engaging in non-virtue. So our lives are very busy, our minds are very busy, we have many activities that we need to do. And if these activities and our mental activities and our physical and verbal activities, if these are in the direction of non-virtue, if our minds are afflicted and our behavior is motivated by these afflictions, then we end up wasting this incomparable opportunity that we achieve through such effort. So therefore here, Geshe Rinpoche is exhorting us to live a meaningful life. And a life of meaning is, as was expressed in the previous verse, to receive many teachings, reflect on those teachings, meditate on those teachings, and under the influence of the virtuous minds of the Buddha Dharma, engage in our various activities.
Geshe Sabatila, Kyola Junse Ishe Bas. Jisa Jeremichegi, and Sanje Jumdendi, and Jikusum Tusum Yunden Pa, to Jebache, some da, Dene, and the Sanje Jumdendi, Sun Shabi, Sunlia, Tersum, Gomsum, Jeondu, Sosugi, Dungi, never near do, the Sanje Jumdendel, Sim Dingi, Seming, never near, Semir Jambi Ishi, and the Kyola Junse Ishe Bas. Denigi Sangyu Jumden de said, only then the Demba Cabajan Shuchi Resha, Sambada, and Sangyu Jumden de Sung Shibu, Sung Digi, that Tabada Tamje Kimbi Tap Manoa Timber, Lam number that what Timber that Sangi Demba Tema said, then the Resha, Sambedelia, Teming Evanye, then the Ishi Deva, Chung Sons or Kyola, Chunsi Ishi, Ishi Basid.
And then looking at what for us is the fourth line. So here, Geshe Rinpoche is saying that through having engaged in his life in extensive study, reflection, and meditation on the Buddha Dharma, he has come to gain certain trust and conviction in the validity of the path. And he's come to see that the Buddha Dharma and the mental paths that the Buddha Dharma trains one in cultivating, these are the unmistaken path to happiness. And thereby, he's come to see the incomparable qualities of both the Buddha Dharma as well as the propounder of the Buddha Dharma. And therefore, he has great trust and faith in the qualities of the Buddha's body, Buddha's speech, and Buddha's mind. And this has come about through his own endeavors in receiving teachings, reflecting on them, and meditating on them.
Pevares, and the Sanyu Jumde said, Chick Sosuranagi, and a chick Chugi, Yamlen Tarachi, Tinshalia, Jambatan Zewa, Zi Wangi, and the Shen Simja Tam, Dunga and Jayada, Tarba, Tamji Kimbi, Tam Sanju Kopan Toyagi, Sanju Jumde, Korongi, Yamlen, Naja, Sanju Kopan Toare, Dinashi, Sanju Kopan Toyagi, Dondalia, Simjalia, Chu, and the Kamna Mebala Timbiki, and Chu. Nam Bado Meba Sungshe, Sungbi, Dinik Dumba, Girin Genji, Zambuli Peba Rede, Dine, Mahazuki, the San Jumden, the Kumus, JJ, and Dizania Chujuage, Goka Maravares.
Did Goka
Maravares?
Did
it
take Uncle Song?
Goka Maravares. Sanyu Jumden de Pesa, the Lomango Pesa, Sanyu Jum Jeremichi, Sanyu Jum de Kunwe Jeo Marava, says not Zambuling de la Sanyu Jumden de Masedenici Peva Rede, the Kungo Suche, Diz and the Church, you go Maravares. 대로 판부를 송거다.
Bendigo. Now looking at for us the third line, so let's read these last two together. I consider myself fortunate to have gained some slight trust in you. So here, Geshe Rinpoche is saying that on one hand, he's dispirited or disappointed that he never had the opportunity to meet this great being, Buddha Shakyamuni, this great being who has come to see what tremendous qualities that he has in his mind, in his speech, and in his body. But nevertheless, he considers himself truly fortunate that such a being did appear in this world, that there was the merit for such a being to not only appear in this world, but also to teach the Buddha Dharma. And to teach the Buddha Dharma based on his own faultless experience and in accordance with the various dispositions and inclinations of beings in the world. So whilst Geshe Rinpoche did not have the fortune to meet Buddha Shakyamuni personally and directly receive teachings from him, nevertheless, he does consider himself fortunate that the Buddha did appear in this world and did teach the complete and unmistaken path to the state of enlightenment.
제가 상예 점내에 점물링이야 폐진에 지게 최 망고송 안에 지 디자인의 최용어소 상예 점내에 최슈해 다 망보명의 심진报道매 봐. 혼자 좀 받아 탈바는 탐지긴 보고 봐 토요레스 제상 안주 되니기 상예 점내에 공어소 제시 디자인의 최슈지 고가 라바 있나다 당안주에 상예 탈바다 탐지긴 보고 봐 토요일에 되이나 되니기 상예 점내에 점물링 폐바 있나야 소소게 되니기 어소 제시 어소 안에 송퇴제 최슈야 고가 말아야 될 슬로 판보에 송어 되네 송거로다.
So this is the Geshe Rinpoche is also expressing this for his students too, in that his students also have not had the great fortune to meet Buddha Shakyamuni in person and receive teachings directly from his mouth. Yet, through the Buddha having appeared in our world and taught the unmistaken path to enlightenment, so many beings have attained the state of a foe destroyer, the state of an arat, liberation from suffering. Moreover, so many beings have progressed beyond that and have arisen as Buddhas themselves, have achieved their own enlightenment, and thereby are able to work alongside the Buddha in leading beings to their own inner cultivation and development of the paths within themselves. So therefore, we are truly fortunate to have achieved this opportunity to receive teachings on the Buddha Dharma. And why we are so fortunate is not merely because we can receive these teachings, but because we can receive these teachings and cultivate them within ourselves. Therefore, this expression of fortune is in relation to that we ourselves can also achieve liberation from suffering. We ourselves can also achieve enlightenment.
대양가와 상념 이세 대양세도 갈 수 없으네. 다 되네기 상유 점대도 공모수 제제 상유 점된지 그뒤에야 최용수 쉬제 냠내제 마주와래데 이내양서다 이내야 다다 상유 점내디기 최디기 다디 숭디기 야 제제 상유 점내디 숭셰비 숭럽디기 바지 안델야 안에 지금 서서게 퇴바지 디기 된다라스 야내야도 삼 아니 디 된다 삼셰비 내가 치매 내가 녀바디 소소 곰잡 된디오 곰제비 곰베게 제 곰여도 안 냠는 제여도 소소기야 탈바다 탐지킴베 토백이 람 냠는 제 소소기 길에 제여도 뱀마세 가와상 버레스 대야 가와상 버레스 대상이 좀내데 공무의 제제 최시제 냠는 제 말아봐 있나야 상이 좀내데 숭기 숭셰베 숭럽 숭디게 다들 덴바디들 하샤바 되네 항아서 될야 퇴바제 디던달라 삼 될야 냠는 제여도 진네 야 안에 가서 탈바 녀몽백이 CPU 코어 시베 자원에 방제 아니야 탈바 담지 캠비고 봐 토에게 람냠는 제라와디라 빼마서 가와상보 인소라데 가와상보 인성구도서 올라 가와상님 기이서.
a word that we don't have in the English, which would come at the beginning of the fourth line, would be the word moreover. So this word then expresses here that whilst I, J. Rinpoche, didn't have the opportunity to meet the Buddha directly and receive his teachings from him directly, moreover, I am truly fortunate because I have met his teachings nevertheless. And I am truly fortunate to have met these teachings because through receiving them and reflecting on them, I am able to generate a valid cognizer in relation or valid cognition of the meaning of these teachings, and then develop calm abiding and special insight, the union of these two minds, and actually meditate on the topics of the Buddha Dharma. This means I actually have the potential to develop the actual paths within myself, the actual mental paths that can eliminate the root cause of all suffering. I have the potential, I have the ability to attain a state of lasting happiness. And it is for this reason that I consider myself fortunate.
That digi dondala and du shabaina ganisungore labna disungore da kanjele zuge kyawangama anechike jimba tsurimsung sebakom jimba tang sebe nyamleche ane junji nyamlenche wa tene dade tensa danju milirumaji top tensa danju milirumaji top ne ane sangye kusung tusum yuanden da sangye sumgi yuanden delya be jikdu jeba chine chemege di yuanden chemege ngebanyeje delya ichigi deba dembo shu chi gesons 제가 데니기 냠는 제네 아니 다 상유 좀는데 공외도 제요 말데 이나야 상유 좀는데 송리야 퇴섬 곰숨제 냠는 제제 아니 소수기 귤라 도배 냠는 귤이 끼어도 아니 탐지 캠비고 봐 터베기 냠는 제제 람귤에 끼어도 뺀맛에 가와상 고 슈중송 세고 다 된다라
So to summarize the meaning of this verse then, the situation that we all find ourselves in is that we are now enjoying the ripening results of our endeavors in past lives. In that in our past lives, through cultivating the minds of ethical conduct, of generosity, of patience, and of joyous perseverance, we have attained this rebirth. And this isn't just any rebirth, this is a human rebirth that is precious. And through utilizing this precious human rebirth well, we can receive many teachings of the Buddha and reflect on the meaning of those teachings. And this is something that Geshe Rinpoche himself did. And through doing it extensively over a sustained period, he came to gain certainty in the qualities of the Buddha, the qualities of the Buddha's mind, of his speech, and of his body, speech, and mind. And through this certainty, through this valid cognition, gaining a realization of the good qualities of the Buddha, stable trust in the Buddha Dharma was cultivated. So whilst Geshe Rinpoche has some disappointment that he wasn't able to meet Lord Buddha directly, he had the opportunity nevertheless, through the accumulation of causes in past lives, to receive teachings of the unmistaken Buddha Dharma, to reflect, to meditate on them, and cultivate the actual mental paths within himself, the paths that lead towards liberation and enlightenment.
Dondala that Jerum Chi Anzula Labjin and Gore, Garanan Gore Labna Anzulia, that thing Anzuki do Jerum Jokorongi do Navare, Motorashua. There are these some town Anzulia Pando similar Paya Shirashomare. That Digarasungor sending Anzulia Jerum Chi Anzul Sungo Damating Nangora Dama, Garanangora Labna Anzu call a key Chinchilla. She had Tashavaretas, Shigritas. She had the Gedichi said, then Yomares, Chesan Dada, Anzu Kronzo, Milu Top, Yamagi, Sonamgi, Turumsung, and Jimbi Yamlenche, Sevacum, and Zunjugi Yamlenche, Dene, Dada Kronzo, Milu, Tanjugi Milu, Tobiore, and then Sanji Temba, Jeg, Sanji Temba de Jay, and gave in a chair, Church of Corruption Radu was. Jason Corrupt Radu de la Milugi din di Tobate, choose the mid Madaji, Beji, Member Madaji, Dunda Yoba Segures. She's not did that de la Mashi Bukang, Dunda Yoba de Majabana, and she's Sana, and it Yonra Saresura. She's not that Mashi Gala Jozadan, Gedi Jewers, or that National Lojema, Lojema Jolamna, D, and Lojema Jolan, that young Lojema Malay, she's on a Yonra Wasur. She's on Gedi Shiel and Havayoma, she and a touch over there. She's not the dance somebody in the top to your day, dance somebody. You don't get it in Tobare, you don't get it in Jirugores, just a danger and judge or rushing them by Madubares, rushing in Madubara. You don't get around when you are to try me the wrong when Madubares. It's not you are to a Yedivacere, just that it is getting ever your mares. Just not that the Mashivache, so good, you never said that the Mashivache, Subutana, Corrupted, Digablian, Sangi, Songi, Tersum, Gomsum, Chinyam, and Jagores.
Then he could can tamade not so Teddy.
Say the Mashiva, Devi ring de la Devi ring de la Yamne Chekores.
Then Dedu Kidi Kitty
Did he get that the Majeva in Logemas, Logema Chikin, Logema Chichin Lamna, and the Kitty you are to Shiru, Kitting Avayama, Kitty you do was. Chesanga to Milu said, you don't get dinner to Bare. You don't get let you go usuals. Chesnako, Kala Madu, Rangun, Tuba, you are Madua de Mares, Chesan, you are to go at Dingy and Java Wasura.
The advice that Jeremy Boucher is giving to us here in this verse, so his purpose of composing this verse, is to remind us that our situation is no different from his. He didn't have the great fortune of meeting the Buddha, and nor have we. He attained a precious human rebirth, as have we. And he attained that precious human rebirth in dependence on his endeavors in past lives, as have we. This precious human rebirth is something that is impermanent. It is certain that it will end, but it's uncertain as to when it will end. This was the case for even a great master like Lama Tsongkhapa, and is certainly the case for us. So the advice he's giving to us in this verse is that remind yourself that what you have attained in this life came about in dependence on causes and conditions. Coming about in dependence on causes and conditions means it is impermanent. Being impermanent, it changes moment by moment by moment. That means it will end. So you can gain certainty through your observation that life does come to an end, but also through logic and reasoning that this life will end. Moreover, through reflection, you can see that this life, not only will it end, but its time of ending, this is completely unknown. And this is because, one, we can observe this in the world, that older people don't necessarily pass before younger people, etc. So we can observe this, but moreover, through reflection, we can come to see that when the causes that have led to this life are exhausted, the life will end. Moreover, there are very few causes that lead to the sustaining of life, but so many that lead to the ending of life. So this we need to reflect on. And then, gaining certainty in these 2 points, that death will come, and the time of death is completely unknown, then we should naturally think about how best to utilize this life, this precious life that came about in dependence on the causes that we accumulated. And that leads us to thinking about using this life in a meaningful way, living a meaningful life. And the meaning and a meaningful life is a life spent reflecting on the meaning of the Dharma. So here we need to think then about the purpose of this life, how to live a meaningful life. And this is done through coming to understand the Buddha Dharma, through receiving teachings and reflecting on them, and eventually become able to meditate on them. This is how to live a meaningful life. And with the uncertainty, with this knowledge of the uncertainty of the time of death, this then should serve to remind us not to procrastinate. Not to think that I have these many tasks that have to be accomplished and these tasks are my first priority. A meaningful life is not the accomplishment of tasks. A life of meaning is a life spent reflecting on the meaning of the Dharma. Thinking like that then will dispel the laziness of procrastination, will lead us to changing our priorities and putting as a foremost priority reflection on the meaning of the Dharma.
약보야 당 계주를 가지고 간제ले 녀몽바 빵야 당 엔디기 주비알이야 아니 땡기 디기 주비알이야 아니 고 개어 줍지 냠는 제나마도 아니 줍투야요 말해서 내가 저기 규벤저당 왕탕으로 같이 예배 있네요 니 톤에 아 줄이야 아니 지금 녀몽바 빵투야 용 말해서 아니 이게 땡이 대화 줍투 말해서 제가 땡이 대화 주비야다 녀몽바 빵야라 내가 저기 개위기 자와 줍제 아니 퇴바제 아니 된다 삼 되니 곰 냠는 제 주고 그래서 되니 인자 아니 대비링 대와 가서래 수부 탕보 고급 예비링들라 냠는 제고 그래 내가 봐 제고 김산으로 뒤에서 오다
Everything that we have in this life, the life itself, everything that we have in this life has come about in dependence on causes and conditions. In our past lives, we've accumulated the causes and conditions that we have accumulated the causes for the results that we are experiencing in this life. We accumulated the causes that led to this life, the material conditions that we have, our mental states that we have. It is because of these good causes that we accumulated in the past that we have everything that we have good in this life has come from that. All the virtue that the ripening results of the virtue that we are experiencing in this life, that virtue we ourselves accumulated in our past lives. However, in our past lives, we didn't accumulate sufficient virtue and eliminate our negativities completely to attain a state of lasting, stable happiness. Hence, we remain trapped within the prison of samsara. Hence, we have a life that is unstable. The lifespan is unstable. And the place of our next rebirth is uncertain. So therefore, whilst on one hand, what we have achieved now is independent on causes, on conditions that we accumulated in the past, what we experience in our future lives, that too is dependent on the causes that we accumulate in this life. And no matter what material conditions we accumulate in this life, these material comforts, our prestige, our reputation, everything that we accomplish in this life, none of this can lead to the eradication of our afflicted minds. Moreover, none of these on their own can lead to the attainment of the state of lasting happiness. No matter how much wealth or prestige we have, these can't lead to the elimination of our afflictions. These cannot lead to the attainment of lasting, stable happiness. So therefore, whatever remains of this life, this period of time, we need to utilize it well. We need to utilize it well with wisdom. We need to utilize it well through reflecting on the meaning of the Buddha Dharma.
그래서 다경어도 상계 점대에 공고수 제시 상계 점대에 공고수 제 구송어수 퇴제 고가 마중와래데 이내야 로팜고와 스카요 말에서 거봐 대양가와 상념기스데 가서 투샤바 이나 제 로팜고요 말 상지이데 랑리아 최시게 기회 신인 요데 지상 기회 신인 전에야 난 상이 송시비 최지 최야 야네야도 뒤도나라 삼 안디기 돈데기 하고 와들고 꼼지 냠는 제바이나 소슬이야 안 타바다 탐지 김묘 고방 투비게 람단 야 고방 투비게 람 냠는 지고래 제상 데니기 규사고래 제상 뱀마세 까와상 오슈레 세워다 데니기 제라와데 까와상 오슈레스 배야부레 송고.
The situation that we find ourselves in is that none of us had the great fortune to meet Lord Buddha directly and receive his teachings directly from this perfect being. Nevertheless, though, we can consider ourselves to be truly fortunate because we have met a spiritual teacher. And not only that, we have the opportunity to receive teachings, and we have the opportunity to reflect on these teachings. We have the opportunity and the ability to receive and reflect on teachings and do so repeatedly over a sustained period. And the obstacles that we have to this, we can overcome these. We have the potential, therefore, to actually develop the minds of the Buddha Dharma, the virtuous paths within ourselves. So therefore we can consider ourselves to be truly fortunate in that we have achieved this incomparable opportunity, and thereby we can attain liberation ourselves.
송이실래 퇴섬 공숨 제제 안냠래 야고 제고레스 니네기 제투바이나 뱀마세 야고레스 아니 제 대안에 지게 상이기야 아니 이체다 대바 아니 어두스 제제는 냠래 제고레스 니네 제바이나 당하서 타바다 탐지기 묘고 방토발라 타니야는 차그레스 어두스 고라던다.
The key points to take here is that this life we have is has been attained through causes and conditions we accumulated. Its lifespan is also a dependent arising, and the time of death too is something that will come, but when it will come is uncertain. So what remains of this life, whether it's short or long, this we need to utilize well. We need to live a life of meaning. And if we live a life of meaning, a life that is spent receiving teachings, reflecting on the teachings, meditating on the teachings, this will bring great joy and peace to the mind. Living a life of meaning means that the mind becomes spacious and comfortable. And through this joy and this peace of mind, we will make ever greater effort to strive and achieve the state of liberation, a state liberated from suffering. And that potential to achieve this state is something that we all have.
And Delia, that she had Tachobare, and she had Tachobare, she had never your mother, Kidishing never your mother, as soon as Jorva, that it has some Makivara, your massive camera, she had to get some Yungrua. Jizadi Dandala Karsungoras and a Benanga Midi, Sani Chik, that intimate children part and talk with it. Jizan Delia, so Sani drove over Hamoina, that's Sani do that drove to Love Shabana, then a Ganga Mongutigua, Cassan Jeji Hayamare, that drove Jeji Hayamara. Then a Nasan or the Kiron Sani children about drove or does Lavaina, middle Lavaina. Sani Padro or the Drogoyagi and Penigi and Sosugi Dulo Kia, Saya, Doya, Danui, Karekio, Sosugi, Ganga, say the Chasan Jerije, Tapiro, Jerije. And the Jerije and then draw by near Ganga Tigio Marwa. And Jesa Dinenza, the Michigi, Sani Drogo Yobache, and the Kolia Kiron Drogo, the Malabaina, Sani called Takan Rosh of the draw that Kyanga Kasan draw or Lama song at Naka Tejika, Matanga Kanga, best agrees and Besem Jungurua, and immediately Kyangalia, then a Lama song, didn't bed Yakumare said, Copa Cornlia, in the Hungurua. Dineza Midiki cannot draw was in Asan called Labgo, the Gachimbo Chegor, Carson, Copa Droelia, Kanga Seegi, Tabla Tapsiji, Beji, Tablam di Duyadiki, and Dugoegi, Gachimbo. On Dinaji, Danganzo. Then Gedi Shia, Dan Gedishing Emma, some good more. And then she, I cannot she didn't she never Yomarda, Surate Dangu, or Danganzuki Carchios and Shina, and a Garpanto or Carchio Ladu, didn't get you to Yaki, Mahobana, Kiawachima, Yakuyan, answer that go up to here, Tapsi, Tablam Duya the Ragore. She said, Dehamo and the Tablam Duya Maraja, Tablam Madu, didn't she do the Yonragore? She said, Dini in some. Nasan and Anzulia, Mombigi, and Digi Yonhagi, Gudan Kindige, Terigi, Yonhagi Dondala, the Sigrid, never Sigrid, never Yomarda said, Sungoya, himself did it.
The reason for talking about death so much, the certainty of death and the uncertainty of death, the uncertainty of the time of death, is not to make anyone dispirited or depressed, but rather to encourage one to utilize what remains of this life well. So, for example, if someone tells, perhaps let's say your boss at work says, tomorrow you have to go work in another branch, or in another city, you need to go help out there, and you're going for some weeks. Then we're probably going to get quite annoyed and say, hang on, I've got many things to arrange. I've got to arrange who looks after my children or perhaps my pets, and I need to take care of other plans, and I don't have time to arrange everything. So in such a situation, we're going to get annoyed and frustrated because we weren't given the opportunity to prepare. And this is something that's widely known in society. So when we make plans, we tend to make plans, especially for something, a big event. We make plans sometime in advance. And if these plans involve others, then we would always pre-warn them, giving them sufficient time to prepare. So similarly here, the purpose of reflecting on the certainty of death and the uncertainty of the time of death is to give us the opportunity to develop our wisdom in relation to this, and to gain certainty that death will come, to gain conviction that death will come, but the time of our death is uncertain. There's thought we have in the back of our mind that we still have time. There are still years and decades before us. That thought is completely unfounded in reasoning or logic. There is no certainty, no valid basis for this way of thinking. And then, gaining certainty about, gaining conviction about the certainty of death and uncertainty of the time of death, we then have the opportunity to utilize what remains of this life well. In other words, to prepare for our time of death. Through living a meaningful life, we would then, in this way, are preparing for our time of death, in that when death comes, we will pass from this body to the next body without regret. We'll pass from this body to the next body with a relaxed and spacious mind, knowing that we'd lived a meaningful life, knowing that we spent this life well.
Bendigo 제고레스 걸럽 나와서 당한도 가르 제고레스 나 당한도 동아시아단 디기 주에 될야 안에 가는 스페시 제고레랍나 당한 저기 당보나 나도 야 저기 건조 숨리야 짬로도 하고 싶고야 이게 좀 제고레 그래서 디나시 다데 네 디나의 송도와 결례 준세 2000년에 세대 상위 점내디 구송 투수 연된 바 통화전 될래 배마지 이치 대바 시우게 송화사 송도로 디나신 안저이네 건조 숨기 연된디게 안에 야도 삼다 안에 건조 상위 송셰 비기 최 최대리아 안에 가르가라 송샤 뒤에 송비게 다디 냠는 제반에 소슬이야 안지 동아 간에 시고래 아니 뒤에 간에 두고 디스마 두스 삼다네 안주 야 동아 타달을 끼비 뉴바데 잡냐 건조 숨디 요래 딱 끼미 건숨 껴그래 선비게 이시 깨야돼 겸를 해야 되리 당한주 타바다 탐제 키미고 방 토발라 당한주기 최냠는 제제 안토고래 지선 최냠는 제 토발라 띠엔디 류딘디 가지고 류딘 야고시 구마도 지 안송게 띠 냐와다 둔로다 이달라서바 띠네 깨와이나 안띠엔델이야 최시비 고갑 띠니 전에 최제와 선비게 삼론나를 여번에 띠니 전에 최제하고 그러고 말해 그래서 매번 장아주 최냠네 야고시야래 띠인 켜바진 아니 단지기 밀을 하다미 고방사지 고고래 원dio 고방 토고래 그래서 디 토비알라 당한주기 규가르사고래서네 수름소야 되리. 진짜 류가 유슴 요건에 샬라 뇌비게 자와서 싸우기는 지금 선배 삼로디 디 야네 야도 땅. 디 야네 야도 땅. 디 송야디 디 수름래. 진짜 디 땅을 깨와치마 하다 미고 바토야기 규디 디 차고래. 진짜 딩안 쪽에 야네 야도 삼 땅고고래 다가제. 진짜단 밀류림버치 토바 있나양 딘델야 다사야동야다 튕긴지 야고 매나 양지 디톤에 양지 최시야라 고갑 야고스라고 말해. 제가 디네 인자 튕긴데 야고 양야 된다라. 저기 진비냠나 다당 저기 진비냠나 제거를 샤리야 랑기 류가 유슴 요건에 샤리야 펜베 자와 가지 주도 야 샤리야 진바 아니 저기 셰괴 두로메 바당 사야동에 메데가나 데솔리아 안지 로제야 진비냠나 자 다간질 소수기 류가 유슴 샤리 펜베 자와 진선베 삼로 나야디 게치모 차고래 진비냠나 자래 나 되네게 나 직겨와치만 밀리지 톱 되네 직 변조라 튕겨를 야보 여나야 왕보 마상 와다 암조 마 지금 기내 마고 와라서 다 미마통 와라서 바다 되네게 직 다된 지게 숨미두파 미수통나 마가와로 시되네 차바이나 아 최체라 바시 차고 되네 인자 다den가 저기 쇠배님네 제바이나 안디수 차사 야보인 거 된자 쇠배님네 제 쇠배님네 제디 아 저기 현지 소슬이야 뇌바이나라 가르나 파리아 심 번뉘메 심 뇌바기메 심베 안에 소슬이야 심 마추바제 되야디 예치 뭐 제거래 나 되네 아 저게 되네게 밀류 톱 되네 제 왕보 차상 상와다 안튕예 야고 여바이나야 아저 최제야야 고가 말아와다 최셰에게 녀에게 아니 되네 마라비게 최셰행기게 나 마체바드네 용식으로 되네 인자 대리야 최리야 도나메바 용루와 제가 되네자 가오메딩에 용루와 최제야라 가오메딩에 샘진 소제제발라 가오메딩에 되네 용식으로 되네 인자 다데 아주 기위 자와 제알야 야네 야도 야네 준주게 야고야 선비게 준주게 제야디 냠는 제야디 게치 뭐 제가 다들 아주 준주게 냠는 제바이나 아니 개와치마 야 아주 기위 자와 제발야 저슈 심볼이 거래 지사 되녀리 거래 어디래 아 되네게 칼이야 나 저기 몰라야고야 게시 뭐래 지사 나 마오바나이电상电주기 밀류리 뭐죠 톱제 안태바진베 기위 신이 안지게 생이다 된바지바 니에시 될야 안지게 지전의 최슈제 냠내 야고시야 라와쇼 세야다 소소게 냠는 제와 마제 셴리야 펜바게시미 주투에기 라와쇼 세야다 언디니게 몰라야고제데 게치 뭐슈 차고래 지사 데니기 당아도 수림 냠len제 잠로체 수림 냠len제 쇠배 냠 진배 냠len제 쇠배 냠len제 준뢰 냠len제 데네 몰람 야고 자와나 니기 개와 치말이야 내주 밀르르 뭐체 야고 토야당 아니 최제야기 고갑 라야당 아니 디 규디 디사고래 제자디 안쪽에다 제름치 안줄래 랍지가디 딩어도 야네 야도 라렌다고 고르와 어디로와 다 데네기 안데니엘 마디 소현행이 뭐부주잖아 I said, give you the same as give you
So sorry, I went on a little bit long there, so now you're going to have to listen to the translator for a very long time. Again, stopped himself. He had a lot more to say, but then he stopped himself. So all of us sitting here, we are the same in wanting to experience only lasting, stable happiness, to never have happiness interrupted by even a moment of suffering or difficulty. So the method to be able to fulfill this innermost aspiration of ours is to cultivate a number of minds in meditation. So the first would be to, as we see referred to in this verse, is to generate the mind of refuge. And Chen Rinpoche is indirectly referring to it here, where he refers to having trust in you. So here, trust then refers to having trust in Buddha and his teachings. So this is something that we need to reflect on repeatedly, the qualities of the Buddha, the qualities of his teaching. And the purpose of this is for us to generate an ever stronger conviction in the validity of the Buddha Dharma, in the validity of the various teachings, in being able, through their cultivation in our mind, that they will ensure we attain liberation from suffering. So this word refuge means protection. And here, when we go for refuge, we turn our mind towards the three jewels, seeking protection, seeking refuge. And protection from what? Protection from suffering. So when we have gained the clearer our understanding of the sufferings of samsara, the stronger our wish to be protected from these sufferings will grow. And initially, when one turns to the three jewels for protection, one may have the aspiration that may the three jewels protect me from suffering. But as our understanding of the Buddha Dharma deepens, so too will our refuge. And when we turn towards the three jewels for protection from suffering, our understanding will be it's through cultivating the Buddha Dharma within ourselves, through developing the minds of the Buddha Dharma within ourselves, those very minds that we're cultivating in our own continuum, it is those minds that protect us from suffering. So this is a far deeper way to go for refuge. And this deeper way for going to refuge comes about through contemplating the sufferings in samsara and coming to understand the Buddha Dharma ever more greatly. And as we develop our refuge ever deeper, then our fear of the sufferings of the lower realms will grow within us, as well as our fears of the suffering of the happier migrations. And our wish to gain protection and then freedom from suffering will grow ever greater. And with this mind of fear for continued suffering rebirths will come the wish to develop the causes to ensure that we continue to receive good rebirths where we can continue to cultivate the minds of the Buddha Dharma within ourselves, these minds which are our protection from suffering and eventually are the causes for our liberation from suffering. And that then leads us to the next steps of the meditation. So the first was on refuge. And the second is the mind of ethics or ethical conduct. So this mind we will want to cultivate within ourselves because we'll know that it is the primary cause to receive further rebirths in happy migrations, rebirths that are not overwhelmed by suffering, but where the suffering is much reduced, and thereby one has the potential to develop spiritually further. So the mind of ethics, in brief, is a commitment not to bring harm to others. So it's primarily mental training, and through this mental training, one refrains from physically harming others, verbally harming others. So the mind of ethics is the mind of restraint. Moreover, knowing from what we observe in this life, that merely having a rebirth and a happy migration is insufficient to be able to train spiritually, because if one doesn't have the vast collection of good circumstances, of favorable circumstances that one requires, one will not have the opportunity, the freedom to train spiritually. One will be so overwhelmed by the need just to sustain this life that one will not be able to train spiritually. So therefore, one needs to create the causes to have comfortable material conditions in our future lives. And this comes about through developing the mind of generosity, the mind that wants to give, the mind that wants to help. And the practice then of generosity is cultivating the mind of generosity, which is the wish to give, the wish to be of benefit. And that then can be expressed in a material sense, through helping others materially, or expressed through helping others through our skills, our qualities, our abilities. So this is the third training. The first was refuge, then ethical conduct, and now generosity. But also we see that to be able to train spiritually, we require a physical body that has its sense powers and mental powers complete. In other words, where one is not impeded through severe mental difficulties or our sense powers such as sight and sound being not fully developed. Moreover, if we have disharmonious relationships with others, we will easily have conflict with others, and thereby this too will serve as an impediment to our spiritual progression. So as to ensure that in our future lives, we have our sense powers are complete and we have harmonious relationships with others, we need to cultivate the mind of patience. So this mind of patience then comprises of many of the qualities of the preceding meditations of ethical conduct and generosity. In other words, this mind of patience is a mind that does not want to bring any harm to others, but wants to benefit others. So it has these qualities that are common to ethics and generosity. This mind of patience, when cultivated, ensures that we don't respond in a negative way to outer stimulus, to outer problems, but rather we respond with compassion. And likewise, when we have inner turmoil, then we do not allow that inner turmoil to overwhelm us, but with a mind of patience, with a mind of joy, we overcome even our own inner turmoil. So this is the practice of patience, a mind that is not overcome by adverse conditions. Then the next practice, that is of joyous perseverance, which is here the fifth: refuge, ethical conduct, generosity, patience, and our joyous perseverance. This too is a very important mind that we need to cultivate in this life, so that we can experience the ripening results in our future lives. It's the lack of joyous perseverance. So first of all, joyous perseverance is a mind that takes delight or is joyful about engaging or persevering in virtue. So it's a mind that delights in engaging in virtue. So where people take or naturally are inclined to non-virtue, whether it's a non-virtuous way of thinking or physically acting or speaking, this is a result of not having the mind of joyous perseverance. If we cultivate this mind that delights in virtue, in our future lives, we will naturally be inclined to virtuous ways of thinking and acting. It will also mean that in our future lives we will seek out the Buddha Dharma. And moreover, when we meet the Buddha Dharma, we will encounter it with joy. And thirdly, not only will we seek out the virtuous paths, the paths of the Buddha Dharma, and then meet them with joy, but we'll want to engage further to cultivate these minds within us. So therefore, this mind of joyous perseverance serves to greatly amplify our spiritual progression. So this mind is also very important. Then the last practice to mention is that of prayer. So prayer is important, where we make the aspiration that may we only continue to have good rebirths in our future lives. And in these rebirths, may we meet the Buddha Dharma at a young age, recognize that, may we meet a qualified Mahayana teacher at a young age, recognize him as a qualified teacher, and engage in spending a life of receiving teachings and reflecting on these teachings, always motivated by the altruistic attitude of wanting to spiritually progress so that we can be of ever greater benefit to others. So making prayers such as these are very important. So these 6 practices are what Geshe Rinpoche is encouraging us to engage in, so as we can be ensured to not only live this life in a meaningful way, but our future lives can be meaningful too.
나 먼저 코르기 깨도 간이 삼다베나 동아 라신 장야레샤 세비 코르기 야 코르기 내려야 동아기 라신 동아 삼다 되니게 동아 삼다 다 동아 될때 간이 타고도 선배게다 동아디 간이 중국도 람나 다 규단 깨매 발라 말에 규단 깨라된 리고래 제자디 마주기 동아야 규조데 가서서나 레다 녀모바 될때네 안에 코바래 깨와래 되니 될때 동아 몽골 리고래 지사 레다 녀모바 이게 깨위 규조데야다 다지 마릭바세데 레샤 삼 디네게 삼다 디네 다지 마릭바데 방고데 디마 방바다 탑기네 미두스 디방베 방바세데 탑소나 디네 탈바세 띵이 되와 탈바 토용두스 지사 디네게 탈바도 토보고도 선배 삼다 디네 탈바 토야라 아니 가르공고레스네 람 냠네 제마도 토야요 말이야 람 냠네 제야데 가르치고 그랬으나 디네 대시 집어 출연 쇠바시 냠네들이 여여바치 네가 알아가 저게 가르고 그랬으면 제가 다음에 봐도 배동이 또 셰랍티기 또제 디공고레스 디냠네 제나는 타바 토바 지긴 선배게 다 되니게 삼다 되니게 타바도 마토는 탑미노 선배게 삼다 차고래 디 람림 제바는 기부 드린다 투모에 삼바장 하세야데 돌디로 차고라.
What has just been presented then are if we think of the context of the Lamrim, these are the practices that are common with the being of small capacity. So those then need to be developed further so that we also engage in the practices that are common with the being of intermediate capacity. So here we take the meditation further, where we think about the situation across all the rebirths, all the realms of samsara, where we come to understand how wherever one is born within cyclic existence, as long as one remains bound within the prison of cyclic existence, one's experiences are pervaded by suffering. And therefore, there is no rebirth to aspire for, thinking that it will be a rebirth of happiness. There is nothing to strive for, to achieve, thinking that it will lead to lasting happiness. In that, as long as one remains bound within cyclic existence, one will experience suffering. And the reason for this is everything that we experience comes about due to the karma that we have accumulated. That karma that we have accumulated has been accumulated under the influence of our afflicted minds. And therefore, this karma is contaminated and keeps us bound here within cyclic existence. And these afflicted minds that are the causes that result in our karma, which results in our suffering experiences within cyclic existence, these themselves have as their root cause the ignorance of self-grasping. So there is this sequence of dependency here, of one leading to the other. And likewise, whilst there is a sequence of dependency that keeps us trapped and bound within these suffering realms, there is a sequence of dependency that leads to liberation from suffering. If the root cause is a mind of ignorance, the antidote to that is the contrary mind, a mind of wisdom. The root cause is a particular type of ignorance, the ignorance of self-grasping or the ignorance of true grasping. And the antidote to that is a particular type of wisdom, the wisdom realizing emptiness of inherent existence. So it's through developing this wisdom that we can attain liberation. And how to do so? Well, that is to cultivate the entirety of the Buddha's path, of the Buddha Dharma. So we've heard about many of those practices already in the context of the practices that are common with the being of small capacity. Those practices then too are done with a far broader motivation of the being of intermediate capacity, then they can lead to liberation. These practices of ethics, of generosity, of patience, of choice, perseverance. And then they are combined with concentration and wisdom. In particular here, with the wisdom realizing emptiness of inherent existence. These then, in brief, are the minds to be developed, the path to be developed, that is common with a being of intermediate capacity.
Dene sumba dila ane karasam kanastangore lamna da jige dunga thadala dröge tarbase togudu deya rang sede jirare shen simjan sede be taye ba chiyore jisan rang dewa deba na shin shen simjan tamje dewa deba jibare jise dunga jagudu sanyada den simjan sede ane sosolya simjan sede 차상 랑 가브리엘에 소소기 팬바다 다데 맞아 뭐 마신 와 심제로 신네 근데 저서 개왕 아마디가 판도요래 제가 심제세야데 니가래 판도 채와래 니가래 판도 충와래서 가야 마 차상 찌찌강 예링매 말해서 심제 담지 예링 요 말해서 온도스치네 섬지 땅님래 섬다 땅님 섬다 안디젤라 안데 심제 담 저다 랑기마 세티기마 다안 지 개와 뭐 내년와자 네 심전 차상이 마제 마뇽아 제요 마차상이 마제 뇽아 샤다레스 제가 마제 뇽아서 심전 담제 랑게 마제 뇽아데 템바 마시에 시고레 제가 마제 뇽도 다 심전 저 소소 마제도 소소 마디게 소소 부고라 제와 메바 기네요 말 제가 데니게 제와 지는 알레베 그래서 게딘 망고 쉬우경아레 제가 마제니 마차지 마이 마차 빠도 매바 망고 제요레 데네 제라 게딘 베 마시 게딘 친구 쉬우쟁 알이야 짱요레 세디 마 심지어 탐제기 안에 라리아 진친보이 마슈 삼 진친보 삼다레 다 진친보 인상 소소를 진친보이 제바 인상 다 소소기 고가 비디 갑라 심지어 탐제리 진란지 마저네데 탑미도 제당에 심지어 탐제리 편바 주기 삼비게 삼다디 안 진소와 세 삼당고레 지나다 되네 진소야도 다 심진 편바 주게 가라스네 심진래 대화 주야다 동아세들이 제가 심진 탐제 대화다 내국도 심진 이제 대화다 되나 대화다 템버쇼 세야다 아니 대위 유 파진 주게 냠는다 템버쇼 섬배섬다 직시 데 아니 용원 가서를 잠바고 바시고로 다 심진 탐제 대화다 템버라 동아다 마다나다 대화다 대 민도 제가 심진 탐제 동아다 자고도 심진도 저 동아다 자와쇼 섬제고 되네 심전도 동안은 해야 돼야 동안 유디 맞아 봐있나 아니 동안 유디 마방 봐있나 야자 내가 동안 매바잖아 야자 동안 야자 내용을 제가 심전도 동안은 자고 동안 유단 제바 자와쇼 세고미야들 인지 공부하시 그래 난 될야 고묘도 가라 다 제가 데니게 삼다이도 데니 심전도 동안 요야당 유용하지 차상 가르치는 연구에서는 제가 녀몽의 왕에 세버 녀몽의 왕기 덴징이 뒤덮게는 녀몽바 되자 컨트롤 하게 되는게 계제는 디왕게는 레사딘의 동안 봐도 매고 제가 다신 마리파 세디 짐바나시 라신 주바나 짐바나 요래 요말 제바치디 나 덴지게 삼다시 제바치디 안델야 최근에 지내야 아니 규단 게 차시에 강래 모두 랑문이 주주에서 자와기는 민도아 선배 섬다에 동이기 남자라 섬다에 최고래 제가 다 되니게 라신 주바 매반상 다 녀모바디게 방투고로 와다 그 교어줘야 되래 제가 방투에서 다 심지어 탐제 동아 유단 제바디 니세기 그래서 니 컨트롤에 최대한제 냠린 제주제 아니 야 아니 동아 탐제래 심지어 탐제 동아다 자와다 동아 유단 제바 자와다 니지기 인사 대심제 담질량의 최대 냠린 제주제 아니 그 파신 중에 냠린 제주 제가 심지어는 이제 대유 대화나 대유 유대 대바다 니지기 선비게다 지금 인도 플라과도 깨지 하선다 세치고를 디 제어도다 네 제반자 제고자 나랑 제발라 누버 가이미도 제사 네 상제고와 마토나 탑민도 제상이 심지어 탐지기 동아제야다 디기투비 심지어 탐지고 코와라 자지 야 안 타비 탐지 캠비고 봐라 거 봐라 네 상제고 봐 마토나 탑민도 제사 디인장에 심지어 탐지 상제고 봐 진에게 토벌쇼 삼배 삼다이디 내 자주 샘삼다이서 제사 윤제 맹아 듄제 규두다 안에 가서 안에 제 자주 샘삼다이디 다 잡아치면 최 냠는지야라 냠는지야디 지착으로
At this point then in the meditation, when we've come to cultivate this mind of definite emergence, wanting to definitely emerge from the sufferings of cyclic existence, to renounce cyclic existence in its entirety, then we make our mind much broader, much more expansive. We do this by turning our attention away from ourselves to that of others. And we remind ourselves that the situation that we find ourselves in is nothing unique. It's nothing particular to ourselves alone, but is shared by all beings. In that all beings are the same as us in wanting to experience only lasting, stable happiness. But they, like us, remain trapped within cyclic existence. And despite wanting to experience only happiness, due to not understanding the causes of happiness and the causes of suffering, they continue to create causes that keep them bound within the suffering realms of cyclic existence. So here now, we've shifted very quickly our focus away from ourselves to that of all beings. Now we start to think about the relationship that we have with others. We start by reflecting on the relationship of parent and child, or mother and child. So we, of course, all had a mother in this life who, from the moment of she was aware of our conception, showed tremendous care for us to ensure that through our development within her womb, that no harm came to us, and anything she could do to nurture us better, she would do so. Then we can take this reflection and think much further about the kindness that our mother has shown us, and the kindness of mothers in general from what we observe in the world, certainly amongst humans, but also non-humans. We can take this understanding then further and relate it to others who we are aware who have shown us kindness, and be aware that there are many others who have shown us kindness that we aren't directly aware of, we haven't directly observed. But then, the kindness that we are thinking about here is just the kindness we're observing in this one life. We've had so many lives before. So here in this meditation now, this meditation of the Mahayana Dharma, we're needing to make our mind wide and expansive. And the purpose of doing this is to remind ourselves, firstly, of the great number of beings that are trapped within cyclic existence, as well as this immeasurable lifespans we've had. So thinking of these serves to make our mind more expansive and remind us that all these beings have shown us kindness directly, such as from a parent to a child in past lifetimes, as well as indirectly in so many ways. And that there's actually no difference between the kindness one being and another being have shown us when we think of this great expanse of time. The only reason we point to one being as being our mother and as being kind to us as a mother is because we only recall one being. But when we reflect, we know that in our past lives we too have had mothers. And it's only because of our lack of recollection that we cannot say with direct perception that this being and that being and that being too have been our mothers. But logically, we know that this is the case. And in thinking like this, we become aware of the intimate relationship that we have with each and every sentient being. And the vast way that they show us kindness, both directly and indirectly in this life and in previous lives. This then serves to bring about a feeling of closeness with others and a feeling of impartiality, where we can't actually, with any validity, say, this being has shown us more kindness than that being. Because we can only be vaguely aware of what we've observed in this life. But when we think in an expansive way, then this mind of discrimination or differentiation in terms of kindness one to another, this fades away, and we feel close to all. And in dependence on this way of thinking, the next step that naturally arises is these beings who have shown us such kindness, these beings who too are suffering in cyclic existence, I have a responsibility to repay that kindness. This is something we naturally do already in this life. When others show us kindness, we have a wish to show appreciation, and where we can, repay that kindness. So this is what we are looking to generate, this wish to repay the kindness. And this comes about in reflecting on the kindness that others have shown, and that has come about in reflecting on thinking about the interrelated relationship we have with others. Then when we think of how best to repay the kindness, what is it that others truly need? What is it that others truly want? Well, their needs are no different from ours. They want to experience, just like we do, lasting, stable happiness. And here we generate the wish, may all beings experience lasting, stable happiness. The happiness that I long for, may this be shared with all others. And here, in dependence on the meditations we've done previously, we remind ourselves that the only way that we can experience lasting, stable happiness is through accumulating the causes for this. And this is then the case for others too. And those causes are exactly what we have already been meditating on. Ethical conduct, generosity, patience, joyous perseverance. Here we generate the wish. May all beings accumulate the causes for lasting happiness and experience lasting, stable happiness. But for all beings to actually experience lasting, stable happiness, they need to be separated from suffering. And here we think about the sufferings that all ordinary beings are experiencing. Here we generate the wish, may all beings be freed of suffering. In the same way that I want to be freed of suffering, so too does each and every being. May they be so. And here we generate the wish, may all beings be freed of suffering. And in dependence on the meditations we've done already, we here remind ourselves that the only way that we can be freed of suffering is through cultivating the causes that eliminate the causes of suffering. We need concentration and the wisdom realizing emptiness. So here we generate the strong aspiration. May all beings develop the causes that lead to the elimination of suffering. May all beings come to develop a mind of concentration as well as the wisdom realizing emptiness. And here then we can, at this point, we can engage in a meditation on dependent arising, and through that on emptiness, reflecting how all phenomena appear to our mind as being inherently existent, which means they appear, as we heard last night, to be unchanging and to be independent of anything at all, not influenced by anything at all. And when we investigate, no phenomenon exists in this way. Every phenomenon is empty of existing in the way that it appears. Every phenomenon is empty of existing inherently. And here, in this way, we can start in the meditation on dependent arising, reminding ourselves then that this doesn't mean, though, that whilst phenomena are empty of existing inherently, it doesn't mean that they are non-existent. They are rather mere imputations by mind. And the only way they can be said to exist is as a mere imputation. So in other words, dependently. So here then, at this point of compassion, we can meditate on emptiness. Thereafter then, by this point, the wish to lead beings to a state of lasting happiness will be arising within us. This mind of the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility, which is the mind where we take responsibility for the welfare of others. We have come to see that others and ourselves are no different on a fundamental level. Their desires and their wishes are the same as ours. And their fulfillment of these is the same as ours. The way that they will fulfill this wish for lasting happiness is the same way as we will. But they remain bound and confused in the ignorance of not knowing. They do not know what the causes are for happiness and the causes are that lead to continued suffering. Here we now take responsibility to become the most skilled of guides, to be able to lead others to the achievement of their own enlightenment. So here we commit to attaining enlightenment for the sake of others, to become the most skilled of guides, so that in the same way that we are being taught what are the causes to be accomplished and what are the minds to be abandoned, we too commit now to becoming the most skilled of guides, a Buddha, so that we can lead others to enlightenment. So here, this is how we meditate on the Mahayana Dharma, through accomplishing the 6 causes and 1 effect method. And these are the practices that are unique to a being of greatest capacity.
ane sem parchin tu nyamlen cheje ane sangke bare die zange ya ane semje tham sangyo ko ba thobo sho di dwanda ya ane chenju sime cheba ane paruchi budu labgi samje an du chen sam da je da ting la ji jimbe nyamlen che sujum nyamlen che sebe nyamlen che zunje nyamlen che an di ga ya samde dingge jin xinian zhubiya dang dene xinian di nga ne da ji lao dong zhubiya on du nyamlen che di da 디시레 제사 제름치기 당어도 denshi 밀류 림보지 톱 다다 상이 템바 제제 디노 고갑 라디오 갑라 데네게 삼나 나지 냠는 제쇼스 디네 제바는 뱀마서 야보레 송거 다가 don다 디송거 제사 디네 인사 디 냠는 제에서 수 삼나 나려도 전 삼나 다에 곰시 제르와디 삼나 야네 야 두스코라기 야네 야도 다에디 예심으로와 제사 디 냠는 제세디 디리도와 제사 다 제름치기 디는 랍제디 디리다 In
the meditation now just described, it comes to the point of where bodhicitta itself has been generated. And whilst bodhicitta is a definite cause for the attainment of its goal, that of enlightenment for the sake of others, bodhicitta on its own does not lead to enlightenment. One needs to, under the influence of bodhicitta, engage in these very meditations that we have already referred to. So with the mind of bodhicitta present, one needs to engage in the meditations on generosity, on ethics, on patience, joyous perseverance, and concentration, where concentration is the mind of the union of calm abiding and special insight. And then lastly, wisdom, in particular, the wisdom realizing the emptiness of inherent existence. So engaging in these same meditations as one has already gone through, with this motivation of bodhicitta, then one is accumulating the causes that will lead to the result of enlightenment, with enlightenment being a dependent arising, dependent on these causes. So here, now to return to the verse we've been looking at, Geshe Rinpoche is praising the Buddha for having taught everything that has now been described, and not just for having shared this knowledge, but through his way of sharing it. In other words, showing how this theory can be turned into realization, how one can train in this theory, turning it, cultivating it into realization. Geshe Rinpoche himself has gained experience of these minds. And therefore, he is praising the Buddha for having taught the Buddha Dharma, having accomplished it himself. And moreover, he's encouraging his students to train in the same way too. Atisha? So we'll finish here then for this morning. If you have some questions, then please feel free to ask. Yes, at the back.
I've just got one question around the last line of verse 36, where it uses the word slight, and yet what Geshe seemed to talk about was a different sense of trust.
Sure. So the word, what's referred to as a slight, but this wasn't referred to at all, and the trust seemed much stronger than what slight implies. Sure. Then Tsongkhapa sumpanang chungse segere chungse yeche. Then selse de godu. Then samla jerempese shukchem yeche shukchempo kiasong chungse yeche kiamasong.
네, 유축심부 계열의 가상 통반하신 소소의 나자장의 중세 자고 상습으로 중세에서는 뜻식스다.
So the term here, slight, serves to show, serves the same purpose as what we heard in last night's verse, in that it's not that his what we have here trust. His trust is slight. It's rather that he's showing through using this word, he's showing humility and modesty. So it's for the same reason as last night. He's not showing his true inequalities, but he's rather downplaying them, so as to emphasize the need for humility and modesty. Okay. Okay, thank you.